Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Like Us Pod. I'm your host, Erin, and we are just here to see how relatable the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills are through these bonus play by plays. So, this week we have our Like Us Pod co host, my big sister, producer extraordinaire, Danielle. She's here with us today. Yay!
Hey, how's it going? I'm so excited to do this. Actually, I texted Erin last week and said, "So I want to do a recap with you." And she was like, "Are you serious?" I said, "Yep." Yeah,
I
I'm here.
was so
Yeah, I'm
excited
here.
because, I
I
mean,
begged.
it's like what's better than one Jones-Wesley? Two. Exactly.
I don't
So,
know. There is three of us though.
there are 3 of us. Look out, world. We have to get Dar on a virtual.
We like our she's like our Chris Jenner, our Kathy, like Mama Knowles, like she's holding it down. She definitely serves as that centerpiece to our lives. She knows all of our friends. She's like in the mix.
She's like,
She
"It's
has a good outfit and a blowout every time you see her. So that's the character that our mother is.
that's exactly right." Okay, well, before we get into the play-by-play, Danny, we are 7 episodes in. Erika Jayne is at the top of our leaderboard, but for you, which housewife so far do you feel like is the most like you? And also just, like, the greater question of what we're doing here, does relatability actually make for a better housewife, or do you like your housewives unrelatable?
I am of the belief that housewives should be unrelatable. Let me tell you what. I feel like in life, there's just enough going on that they're gonna end up being relatable in some way. Like whether it's like they're divorced or there's a loss or a sickness, like we're humans. But I think what makes the Housewives of Beverly Hills so special and really like the concept of the show is that we're seeing women like push against like the social norms of where they're at, depending on where their area is. So like in Los Angeles, Beverly Hills, it is a little bit of like you get on to get on. You might not agree with everything, but you're gonna keep the peace because we're all doing business together and the industry is small and we've known each other since we were 10 and that is the reality of Beverly Hills. So it's been really interesting to also see the juxtaposition of Amanda coming in here this season because she is a new character. She is outside of the culture of Los Angeles in terms of like being hush hush about the drama. And she leans into the drama, it appears so far. So I believe in a unrelatable but becoming relatable housewife.
Yeah, like, almost in their unrelatability, they are doing things that feel like anyone who lives in that culture or understands those social norms are, which I think is funny because when you compare particularly Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, which kinda has this they're known in the Bravo sphere kind of being like the snottier housewives to other housewives franchises. That's what they say at BravoCon is like the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills have a way about them. But I think that's
Yeah, because they're hobnobbing with Billy boys on the
correct.
weekends,
Like,
like,
it's just like they're
it's
living
just different.
like Barry Lisa Barlow, I live a very different life than all of you. So we both agree that the housewives are relatable in their unrelatable ways. But let's move into our hot mic confessional moment. This is what we do at the start of each episode, Danny. It's a little bit different than on our Like Us pod. It's kind of just for these bonus episodes. So, do you have any hot mic moments for yourself this week?
I do. It's kind of somber in tone, you guys. I am a lifelong fan of Catherine O'Hara. I've loved her work my whole life. Really bummed to hear her passing. Um, Another amazing colleague I've worked with is the actor Michael Judson-Berry, and he does famously the Moira Rose impressions online. And I just my heart also goes out to him too because he's really brought in that. But for myself, like I went to Second City where she also went to school and studied improv, and she ended up going on to do SCTV and like had this really interesting career that I studied in my 20s. So I've just always wanted to run into her, or bump into her, or like work with her in some way. So kind of hearing that that won't happen is a little bit sad. My other favorite SNL girly is Molly Shannon, and I did bump into her once at the Golden Globes in the restroom, and I said hi, very sheepishly. But yeah, so that's my hot mic moment for today. Rest in comedy gold, girly.
Oh my God, Catherine O'Hara, what a queen. And she's been so good in the studio. And so I'm really curious to see how that affects the new season of that show because she's been really killing it on that show. And
Yeah.
yeah, it's sad. RIP Catherine O'Hara. Also, the world is in turmoil. The horrors persist, but so do we. My hot mic. moment is that while most people the last few weeks have been in 2016, I have been in 2006 this week because I'm literally in a tracksuit. Like that's first and foremost. I'm in a Paris Hilton tracksuit that got gifted to me by Paris Hilton because her documentary comes out tomorrow and I'm doing a collab with her to like promote it and I'm hosting a screening. And then yesterday I went to a Hillary Duff concert and it was the loudest LA crowd I have ever witnessed. The only time I've heard a crowd be potentially louder was at a Beyonce concert. No lie, it was that loud at the Wiltern. Like it was like affecting her how loud the crowd was because I
Damn.
guess she didn't assume that people were going to know her new music, her deep cuts, like, and everyone was singing every single song. It was so loud. I made a new friend who was also at the concert by themselves. This guy that was like from Mexico, and we were speaking Spanish together, and it was a good time. And then I was with like next to some other girl's straight boyfriend. And so, like, I don't know why she didn't sit next to me so that like he could be in the aisle and that me and her could like groove with like the guy next to us. But
Yeah,
instead,
like,
like,
what?
it was so weird. She like put the man between us and he did not know any of the words and he was like having a good time because she was having a good time, but I think it was actually really interesting to be at a Hillary Duff concert next to someone who doesn't know a lot of Hillary Duff songs. Yeah,
Sure.
I texted you, Danny, and you were like, "Oh, he's gonna know with love," and I was like, "We'll see." And that was the song that the girlfriend literally says out loud. She's like, "You know this song, right?" And he was like, "Yeah." So you nailed it. So that was really fun. So yeah, I'm living in 2006, and I think that it's actually because the horrors are persisting, and I think the only way to persist is sometimes to disassociate. And so here I am in my pink earrings and a pink tracksuit, and onward.
Onward.
Okay, so let's get into the play-by-play. Speaking of Paris Hilton, her aunt Kyle. Oh, by the way, Watch What Happens Live last night was Kyle, Kathy, and Paris, and it is so funny. If you haven't seen it, it is the funniest episode of Watch What Happens Live that's ever happened.
Sonic came out, the tater tots from God knows when. The thing is, Erin, Kathy Hilton like, I was watching that as well, and I was like, "This is probably the most like us ever." Like, put me, Dar, and Erin up there, it'll probably look like that. I'm the one with the potato chips in my bag.
I
You
know.
know what I mean? I
No,
have the
it was
weird
a
thing.
mess. It was
Yeah.
a mess. It was so funny. And Andy's just like watching it unfold and kind of just like letting them be them because the chaotic energy
It was
of
so
the
good.
three of them, it was so funny. And one of my favorite things that happens, and then we will get into the play by play, I promise. One of my favorite things that happens is they go like, who's the best gift giver? And Paris is trying to say that she's the best, and Kyle thinks she's the best, and Kathy thinks she's the best. And Kyle goes, Paris is the baby. She's not even giving gifts. And I thought that the concept of Paris Hilton being someone's baby is so cute because she is like her
She is.
aunt Kyle's baby. Like that is they're twins. They're like the blonde
Twins.
brunette twins. And like two, like that's who babysat her when she was little. So she was like, Paris is the baby. And like, aren't we all someone's baby?
Like us.
Like us. Okay, so the start of episode 7 of Real Housewives of Beverly Hills kicks us off with Rachel arriving to Erika's house. And there isn't much that's happening in the beginning of this scene except for that Rachel, who was dressed stylish as ever, shows up and she's like, "Oh, I never know how to dress on a weekend." And Erika's like, "Me too. It's either costume or sweatpants." And like they're both being dramatic about like not knowing how to dress, even though they know that they're both so stylish and they both look cool kind of no matter what they do. Like even Erica in her sweatpants, she like looks like she's going to the studio, like she's a choreographer. She always looks cool. And Rachel, I feel like I have Rachel Zoe hair today actually because it's waved. Like it's feeling very Rachel Zoe. Um, Danny, you're on mute.
I muted because I didn't wanna, like, interrupt.
Oh, well, it's a
I'm trying to
dialogue.
let you I'm trying to keep the pace of the show. I'm not trying to throw the pace
You're
off.
such a good big sister.
And I'm trying to be, I'm trying to help produce too. I do have a call out though for this particular scene, and it is the revelation of the Bose, Rachel, Erica gossip pipeline. And I love that Bose when she dropped that information the episode before, when they're shopping and she's like, "I don't know. This is the information that we know about Amanda. I don't understand this, but this is what we know." And Rachel's like, "Well, I didn't know this." So she's swirling in her head. Next thing you know, she's at Erica's house and she's like, "I don't know about this girl." Because it's also what she was it's so funny. So I loved that. That was a big like us, and not in the way because they weren't actually not neither 3 of them are messy because they are from Los Angeles, they know how to get on to get along, and they know how to just be people and humans. first, which is why we like them, I think. But like this revelation was just so rich. And then Rachel's walks in wearing this amazing jacket and jumpsuit.
Yes.
And I looked it up and it's like a 2011 French Gucci jacket, well, close to vintage Gucci. Unique finds. That's a like me.
Okay, that's fair. Well, Rachel is always just the style queen, and I felt like this moment with her and Erica talking about how Amanda is annoying cracked me up. And they also get into the Dorit drama, and my favorite bit is Amanda's like, or Rachel's like, "Don't you find it annoying when someone does a phone call in a tight space?" And Erica's just like, "Yes." And I think it's really important. And we end up celebrating Erica and Dorit's birthdays in this episode. But I really have, ever since Erika Jayne has been on this show, I've always related to her. And it might be because she's a Cancer. It might be because she says it like she means it. But in this kind of this tight gossip circle that you brought up, yeah, Bo's being like, Amanda calls herself the money queen, and Rachel being like, I don't know about this money queen business, and Erica being like, yeah, what do we know about her? And it just is like good TV. I love when the housewives do good TV. It just makes me, I love it so much. So speaking of Amanda, we get Amanda and Kyle shopping together, and they're furniture shopping because Amanda's like, well, the house is almost done, but I just need a theater. And so in this furniture shopping kind of tirade, Amanda says that she felt threatened by Dorit, which I feel like is actually kind of silly because, like, Dorit gets unhinged. We all know Dorit can really send it. Like, in particular, like, I'm thinking about when she's like, Camille, you're a stupid, see you next Tuesday. And like, she yelled that to Camille Grammer. Like, so to say that she felt threatened when Dorit knows how to be messy, and if Dorit wanted to threaten Amanda, she would have because she does not mince words. Even though, even when she was with PK, even when she was trying to like kiss Lisa Vanderpump's butt, there has never been a time where Dorit has not been on the show. And when she wanted to be on the attack for people, she was. And I felt like in this moment with her and Amanda, even though it was very ill timed, I do think that she was honestly just trying to get to the bottom of something, and Amanda did not want to hold herself accountable. And so we're just seeing that play out on the second. This is almost like part 2 of the dinner fight, right? And so while Amanda's talking to Kyle, I found it so funny that Amanda's like thinks she's like literally the godfather. She's like, she disrespected me and she disrespected my son. And it's like, I don't even think Dorit was going that far. Like, I think Dorit was just like, you were talking shit. Let's talk about it. Sorry,
And
you're
if
having a
you
bad day, but you're talking shit. Let's talk about it. That was
and
it.
if you're yeah, and if you remember, she actually was asking her a question. It wasn't actually accused. She said, "Well, why are you doing this? Like, what like, why would you think that's helping?" I
Her
think
voice
that's
was
actually
stern,
that was actually right.
but
And
it
that was the
wasn't.
first time Amanda's maybe heard that from her because Dorit also is very affable and cutesy. Like, she has both sides to her.
Mhm.
But I was talking to one of my friends who's also a producer, Joanna, and she was like, Dorit was wrong, and there is an element of me that believes that Dorit was wrong, but we'll get more into that as we get into it. But in this particular moment, I do think that Kyle was the friend she's been to Amanda this whole time. I think she's pretty actually consistent with Amanda and trying to be her friend. So I that was like a one pointer for me.
I felt like Kyle was actually even a good friend to Dorit in this moment too,
Yeah,
because in a way that took me by surprise because they've had so much friction. But Kyle was just like, I don't think she meant it that way, and that was her telling her truth. And I also felt like it was funny that Kyle said it's giving Crystal Minkoff, which like it's a, when Crystal was on the show, I did not like her that much. But Crystal being off the show, I like miss her because there was something about Crystal that felt so like Hollywood connected.
I love
That actually
Crystal.
was like even Teddy, who Teddy also drove me crazy. I hope Teddy gets better, but Teddy drove me crazy on the show too. They always try to throw this like younger person in the mix of these women who are 10 years older than them. And like sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Teddy was also annoying. But at least with Teddy and Crystal, they both came with this like more Hollywood legacy, which Amanda
Yeah,
does not come with
prestige.
that. And I think that that's fine, but Amanda also does need to have thicker skin because she's like, I'm gonna set a goddamn boundary. And it's like, what, you're gonna set a boundary that people can't ask you questions when you're talking shit? Like, you're on the wrong show. And I say this literally, I've been saying it for this is my third week. Amanda doesn't know what show she signed up for. And because she didn't know what show she signed up for, she is gonna constantly be making these missteps that are just typical things for housewives to do and endure while they're on the reality show, The Real Housewives of Insert City. People are going to ask you questions. Sorry, Amanda. That's just how the show goes. That is literally the point of the show, is creating conflict, resolving your conflict. Drives me crazy. So Kyle then moves forward to have dinner with Dorit and Bose. And I loved that Bose has her friend from when she's little with her. And I felt like this was one of the big like us moments of the episode for me, was Bose talking about when she moved from Ghana into Colorado Springs and that she was raised in a very stark environment. I like her usage of the word stark. And then she like points to her hand because she's like, if you know, you know. And like, as a person who also was raised in a predominantly white environment, I felt like, Bose, I see you, I get you. Now, I didn't come from Ghana, but like I understood what she meant, that she's like, yeah, there were a lot of, and she lists names, and those names could have looked like a Taylor, Brittany, Samantha, Amanda. And she's like, but there was a Summer, and her bestie Summer is with her. And I thought it was so cute for her to have this friend for 30 something years. The only other housewife we've seen do this and have old friends is really Kyle Richards. Everyone else has had more of their recent friends on the show, but Kyle has this way about also bringing like, this is my friend from when I was a little kid. And I like when the housewives do that. It makes me feel like they're real people who have like their real homies on the show. Like, if I get it. Like, that makes me feel like you're real. And I like that Summer didn't try to pretend like she didn't know anything about housewives. She was sitting there at that dinner with Kyle and Dorit, and she's like, well, you guys are going through a lot.
I appreciated that, and it's funny because I feel like having friends that are, like, in Hollywood circles, like Bose, and then you're, like, kind of living your regular life, like, what a juxtaposition, but it's also, like, really comforting to, like, have a friendship that is grounded in something that has nothing to do with Hollywood, nothing to do with entertainment or business or any of those things, and it's just, like, remember when we used to play outside and we chased the boys on our bike? Like, that's my favorite things. For this scene for me, though, my favorite moment, we haven't gotten to it yet, so we'll wait.
I mean, this is a pretty long scene. So
It's a long
as
one.
they're gossiping, and Dorit and Kyle, who seem to have like, they've really, their friendship has really gotten a lot better, which I think is really good. So in this scene, Dorit's like, so friend to friend, have you ever wanted to file for divorce? And she's just going right after it, asking the questions. And just as Kyle is about to answer, Mauricio shows up. And Danielle, first of all, why is Mauricio on production's speed dial? Because he was literally just on an episode of Real Housewives of Potomac like 2 weeks ago in Aspen, right? And then he's like, I'm just thinking, thank God he's doing business for once, though, because they keep trying to pull Mauricio in to be the mediator. And I'm like, this man has houses to sell. Like, why is he like, he just keeps getting asked to be a part of the shows and all the things. And
Like, "Sir, this man has an international real estate empire. He doesn't have time to walk on the set and get mic'd up."
like, they were like, hey, Mo, do you want to they just mic'd him up. They're just miking up Mauricio wherever he is. And I love that for him. He's like, I'll do my little camera time. He likes it. He loves it.
It's cute. I like him and Kyle a lot.
I know, and I don't know if they're gonna stay together, and that's sad. So Dorit gets right into it because she is not one to mince words, and she's like, Mauricio, you're gonna live a long life. We were just talking about you. And which I've never heard that before, but it sounded like a phrase that like someone would say. Like, it's almost like if your ears are burning, but instead it's like if you walk up when people are talking about you, you're gonna live a long life. Like, I need to look into that. I never even heard that before. You're gonna live a long life. She's so funny. So then, so then he starts. Dorit goes right after him, and she's like, "So we're asking if you have you ever thought about filing for divorce?" And Kyle's like, "I haven't even asked him that question." And then Bose gets into it, and she's like, "I saw you at Soho House," and he's like, "Okay, I know what I walked myself into. I get it. I get it." And so in this moment, like, it's kind of funny because there's this bit about Bose, who doesn't even know Kyle and Mauricio that well, but she's acting like she does. And I love that for her. Dorit, who's like, oh, well, now that it's on camera, I'm going to ask you for your number on camera because Kyle has been texting my ex husband. So now I'm going to text hers. But I like that she does it almost so out in the open because now it's on camera. Mo is there, Kyle's there. Like, she's like, if I'm gonna get his number, this is the time, and I'm gonna
Right.
text you. But also, like, Dorit, stop dragging Mauricio to be your mediator. The man has a job. He's busy. He's busy. But anyways, Mauricio likes it because he's messy. So he's like, yeah, drag me into it. I'm happy to be your mediator. And in the confessional, now that Bose has met Mauricio, she says, I understand why Kyle is into Mo, but I don't understand why she isn't reeling that in. And I thought that that was a really interesting question to pose. And not, and I don't mean any of this as like a read or shadiness. It just is very clear to me that Kyle is someone who is struggling with low self-esteem for one reason or another. And it doesn't really make sense because she's a baddie. Like Kyle Richards with that hair, she's so cute, she's in shape, she's gorgeous, pretty. She's like lived such a good life in an ecosystem of a network that is like pretty high powerful in the business that she works in. She's been working since she was a child. And, I when I think about it, I'm like, okay, like, well, my perception of why Kyle got into this situation and why she's having such a hard time grappling with what's happening with her and Mauricio is I feel like Kyle is the type of person who thought that maybe the best thing she had to offer was being a good mother. And now her kids don't need her in the same way, right? Like one, and it mentioned in this episode, like one's getting married, few of the daughters work for the family business, one's about to go to college, like these are now grown girls, and so the thing that she pushed so hard to have value for was like, look how good of a mother and a wife I am. And now that those things aren't necessarily in the same, she goes, okay, well, what is my value? And instead of her realizing that she is inherently of value, she's almost like kind of shrunken into this version of herself where she's really unsure. And I just wish that Kyle knew that like she still has so much life ahead of her. Like she's almost like, well, now what will I do? I don't have my husband and I don't have the house and I don't have the things. And it's like, girlfriend, you're still the star of a show that everyone loves. Everyone still loves you. You still have been a writer and had clothing lines and done all of these things. Like she, as Kyle Richards, has been so successful. And I feel like what it comes from is I think she's judging herself so harshly, and I actually think Kyle actually sometimes is judging other people too, but that comes out because she's a harsh judge of herself. And I feel like as soon as Kyle stops judging herself for what she is or is not, she will be free and she will like actually move past being like, I don't care what Mauricio does because that has no say on who I am as Kyle. But she's still caught into what does it mean to be Kyle Richards, sister of Kim, sister of Kathy, Mauricio's wife, mother of these kids. And like those are all aspects of her. But like Kyle herself can free herself from the judgment of what everyone else is trying to hold on to her. And I think she'll be more happy that way.
I think with Kyle, I think, like, I can see what you mean by that, but I think I disagree. I
Mm.
think, I think people's relationships change as they get older, and, like, I've seen, like, older couples or, like, people that like, my husband and I have been together for 20 years now, and so, like, there's people that we've seen through this journey that are together before us too, and, like, I think that there's a big change that happens. She talks about later on this episode when they go back to the house, which we'll talk about at that point. But to me, it seems like they loved each other. There was so much love there, but they started to make a lot of concessions. And when you start to make a lot of concessions, you just ultimately start to drift apart. And throw in the mix having 4 kids, one's away in another state. Like they had their family was all spread out over the world. Like it's just all these little tiny decisions and choices to, like, not go. She even says it on the show. She's like, "I had to go to all the parties every night." I started to get tired of that because it was a concession that she was making, and then she realized she didn't really have to, but she had a guilt behind that. So I do agree that there was some guilt to it.
Mhm.
But I think that's a product of her being like that Gen X boomery kind of generation. I think a lot of them jumped into marriages really young and they didn't really know what they were doing. And, they didn't really know themselves as much. And I
Yeah.
blame it on the generational. And her mom was older, I believe, too, like
Yeah.
very traditional family values. And so that's another reason, if you pass away, I think sometimes people too, I've seen people in their 50s, they'll be like, I'm going to stay with this guy because in a hop, skip, and a jump, I'm going to die and I gotta have someone in case I slip in the bathroom, And like there's all kinds of decisions, there's all types of relationships. I think we have to talk about that more.
Yeah.
And like I don't judge. I'm just like, that's what you guys do. But I see it. Like this
Yeah.
exists. And I think there's a mixture of Kyle being like traditional family, making too many concessions where, emotionally they drifted apart.
Yeah.
And then lastly, her being like that generation, you know?
Yeah, but I think because she's in that generation, that's where I'm saying, like, her self-judgment is
Yeah,
coming
for sure.
from, because there's, like, a bar that she feels like she must do or else she's failed, and it's like, instead of seeing all the other success that has existed in her life, and it's sad. So then they, like, shift into, "Well, let's talk about Amanda," because Kyle's like, "I wanna get out of the hot seat. I wanna talk about Amanda and Dorit now," and this is why Kyle is a good housewife, because she knows exactly when to pivot and to turn the conversation to someone else. And so she's like, "Okay, Dorit, like, what do you think about this Amanda beef? I talked to Amanda. I told her I would not talk to you about it until you guys speak." And Dorit drops this bomb that Amanda was in a cult. And everyone's like, "What?" She's like, "Well, I went to go look up Amanda's book and she wrote a blog post. And in the blog post, she said she was in a cult." And like, by the way, Dorit is like absolutely like tearing Amanda to shreds in this episode in her confessionals and everything she says out loud. And it's really, really funny. So she brings up Amanda being in the cult. And first of all, I just have to say, and I feel like we'll get into it, but I've made content about this. I love learning about cults. I find that they're so fascinating. The Lulu Road documentary, the Mary Cosby from Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, her documentary. Like, I read a book about cults this summer called Cultish. It is about the language of cults, and they basically use like all of these ways that people say, "Oh my god, it's a cult following," and how people congregate around this language about shared experiences. And I find that to be really fascinating, because even when I didn't read this book, fast like rewind to me being a teenager and being like, I play travel softball and travel softball is a cult. And I used to always say that like travel ball was a cult. And the more I learned about the youth sports industry, the more I believe that the youth sports industry, when it comes to travel sports, I do think that that has very cult like inferences, and also like a little MLM-ish too. But like, don't get me started. But like, oh, you're gonna pay this coach, and this coach has the answers to get you to the thing that you need, which is then you're gonna go to college, and like it's all just like paying up. Not that coaches aren't important, not that sports aren't important, but there's just like a way in which that you can strip community from things, and when you exalt people, and that is what happens in cults, is someone is exalted as all knowing and they are the only one with the answers, and you only can have those answers by like unlocking that.
Aaron, having a cult phase is a I would say it's like kinda everyone goes through this phase. You have to do this. This
I
is like
love
a media phase of yours right
I
now.
love it. Also, I was at a
It's
dinner.
also the rest of America is on board because, as you know, I worked in podcasting forever. It is a big, big, big spot for cults and content. So you gotta get into the podcasts to hear the real ones. I've worked with some friends who've worked in some incredible cult like, type of content, and then one of my friends actually grew up in a cult, and he documents that on his own podcast, and it actually did really well, so you gotta get in the podcast space, but cults are like I think it's like a rite of passage if you're, like, a media ingester.
I'm obsessed with it. Also, I was at a dinner this week with like people who like work in the hotel industry, and the people that I was sitting with at dinner were like, "Oh my gosh, let's talk about cults." And I end up like having this whole conversation
It's a
with these
good American
ladies.
conversation.
Everyone kind of is into them, like, you know what I mean? Like, there's just like something fascinating about how do people get sucked into by these charismatic leaders. So, anyways, Amanda.
Also, this blog post is from 2015, they show in the screenshot. So Dorit Googled the girl's name and said, "Reverse search," and went to the oldest thing she could find. 2015 is so long ago.
She's funny for that. But actually, no, she didn't, because I also went to Amanda's website like 3 or 4 weeks ago, and her website is very dated. It looks like it hasn't been updated in a very long time. And so when you
Crazy.
go on her website, I don't know if it's still like this, but when you go on her website, you can see her blog posts, and like she was definitely a part of those like early blogging people. This is the only reason why she like gets to be the, not the only reason, but one of the reasons why she is the money queen is there was this huge life coach manifestation thing happening in 2015, 2016. And Amanda was very clearly blogging her way through that and growing a following through that. And you can see those blogs, they still are live on her website to read, and they haven't been updated in a long time. So I feel like Dorit just went on her website, clicked the blog link, and then probably, yeah, did the reverse, but it probably only took 5 clicks. Like, I don't think it was a lot of clicking that needed to happen. But she's so funny for bringing it up on camera.
I love a little nugget drop.
She said she was in a cult. Just let it be.
I
Also,
think that's like the quintessential, like, Beverly Hills lady being like, "And then I heard she was in a cult."
That's what she did. That's
You
what
gotta, like, sell it.
she did. It's so
And then,
funny.
like,
I know, and then she said nothing afterwards. She's like, "I don't know, I just read it on the website." That's what it was her words.
that's what Bose did also on that shopping trip with Rachel Zoe, and that's also why I was like, "I love this so much because she was like, "This is a fact. Just another
Exactly,
fact."
exactly. But
Just
what I
looking for
do
like, the eyeline. Have you seen those videos with, like, Taryn Delaney and her best friend? I can't remember the
yes,
friend's name,
yes,
and they're
yes.
like, "You like her? I like her too."
Yeah. Yes, exactly that. I actually like, speaking of Bose, in this moment where Dorit is talking about Amanda and she tells Bose what transpired at the party, I loved that Bose was being a real person and being like, "Dorit, why would you ask her that? Why did you keep going? Why did you do that?" And, like, I felt like that was, sometimes on these shows, people can be blind to their friendships and they don't ask hard questions,
Yeah.
and this was Bose just being, like, fully transparent, and she's like, "Well, why did you keep going? Like, why did you do that?" And I felt like that was Bose being why Bose gets like us points. So we move forward, still talking about Amanda because now we're going to Amanda's house, and Kyle is going to go see all of the changes that Amanda made at the house. And I don't know why Kyle thought that this wasn't going to be a sad thing to do. Like Andy Cohen brings it up on Watch What Happens Live. He's like, I would be sad going to my apartment I just moved out of 6 months ago. Why did you think going to this house would it make you sad? And and it's like she's like, "Well, I don't know. Like I just didn't think it was so bad." And it looks fine. Like the house is fine. It's a little HGTV-ish, no major personality. But I feel like the most about this part of the episode is just how sad Kyle gets about it. And we see all of the memories that have existed in this house, like little baby Portia and Lisa Vanderpump and just all of the fun things. And it reminded me, I do have like a partial theory, and you can agree or disagree, but I do have a theory. So, and I don't really know when this theory came to be. It might have come from, I don't know. So maybe over the course of watching reality TV for 20 years. But my theory
Sure.
is that I don't think you should move out of the home that you and your partner move into that you believe is your dream home. I think that once you feel like you're in your dream home and you've worked into this spot to be like, "Oh my god, this is it." I think at that point, the next thing that makes everyone feel like bigger, better, I think that bigger, better becomes really disruptive to the family, and I think it's more than likely going to be the thing that breaks the family apart.
You
And I
you so
don't
you do agree. That's exactly what I said earlier. I said you make those concessions, and then your family just becomes you just start to separate.
yeah,
And I think, like, it is a little bit of the bigger, better thing because it's like, could they have probably kept a happy life in that house? Probably, but also that house, I remember, is where, like, Kyle's stuff got stolen from her mother that were, like, heirlooms. And it's like, I'm sure even, like, the grief of her mother's belongings,
mhm,
um, is part of that as well as the grief of the marriage, that was the place
exactly.
that her friend used to come visit her from elementary school and, you know
Exactly. Well, and I would imagine they had so many family memories, which is what made it so crazy when, like, 5 episodes ago, when Amanda looked Kathy dead in the eye and was like, "I'm glad I made changes to that house. We were gonna flip it." Like, it just felt callous and rude,
and it was
because
their dream home.
it was their dream home. It was their dream home. And they did have a lot of memories in that house. So I don't know. I understood. It was weird that Mauricio was like, "What are you sad?" Like he like couldn't compute why she would be sad about that. And I was thinking like maybe he would be sad about it later. Because
Yeah.
he didn't understand quite as much. But yeah, I just think that moving out of your dream home is disruptive and should be something that you take really thoughtfully. So we move forward, and it's Erika and Dorit's birthday. My Cancerian sisters on the show, and they've done joint birthday parties quite a bit in the time that these two have been on the show together because I think their birthdays are like only a week or so apart. And it's an immediate like us because Kyle has a box of cakes from Susie Cakes, and everyone knows that Susie Cakes are the best cakes. I love a Susie Cake cake. Um, and also I realized that they are in my old neighborhood. And they're
Mm.
right next door where I used to take acting classes.
Aw.
And that restaurant has been a billion different restaurants, Danielle. It's been like a pizza place, it's been a burger place,
Wait,
it's been
where
a
were they? What
bar.
streets?
They're on, Main Street,
Okay.
and when you're on Main Street, there used to be a Buffalo Exchange right there, but it now closed, and the Buffalo Exchange turned into, like, a lender, um, which is, I don't like,
This is before the binoculars, right? Like, this is
binocular.
north of the binoculars?
Yeah, so
That
if you're on Main Street in Ocean Park,
okay, so I know you're at now.
it's to the west of Ocean Park, or I guess
Yeah,
to
like,
the north side of Ocean Park.
on the backside of what used to be the what was that hotel
And it's
called?
like the Santa Monica, tourism board building is there. Across the street is Manchego, like, on the north side of, like, north of the library. But anyways, they're, like, right off Main Street, and it's, like, a little enclosed area. And so I thought that it was so funny. I'm like, "Oh my god, I've been there." That restaurant's been a billion different restaurants, and I love that it now was like, "Oh, well, we're gonna get good branding because we got the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills here." And we see Natalie, the new, I don't know if Natalie is, like, a friend of, I don't know what Natalie's deal is, but I like her already.
Natalie is Rachel's client.
She seems like a really fun time. She seems silly, fun, doesn't take herself too seriously. She shows up with, like, a hairdryer purse. Like, I like her. Like, I think she ends up sticking around more on the show because maybe the producers realized that Amanda was not very fun and kind of a dud. Um, and so I think they were, like, warming up her replacement. But we'll see. So they end up talking. It's Amanda is talking to Kyle and Rachel, and Kyle's like, "Yeah, I just was at Amanda's house earlier today, visiting it." And they're talking about, like, "Oh, then we rented it out after we moved out." And then Amanda's like, "Yeah," and then, like, we bought it. And then no one else asks her to do, like, it was the strangest thing, Danielle. No one asked her to do this. And Amanda herself says, "Yeah, well, we bought it." And then she corrects herself to be like, "Well, actually, I bought it." And it's like, ew. Ew. Like, Amanda, do not make me defend a man. But, like, if a man did that, we would be grossed out. It's so tacky. And, like, this is the second time she's done something like that. Like, when they were in Sedona, she goes, "Oh, well, I make in a month what Eddie makes in a year." And it's like, ew. Like, why are you doing that to your partner that you manifested, girlfriend? Why are you doing that? Why are you doing that? I don't like it. I don't like it. It's just, like, not empowering, and it's, like, not nice to talk shit about your partner that way. And Rachel says it best. Rachel's like, "It just doesn't add value." It's like, "Why are you saying that?" Dorit hasn't arrived yet for dinner, but when she does, then Kyle starts egging on Amanda. She's like, "Ooh, like, oh, she's coming," and that makes Kyle's funny. I like her on this show, and I like Kyle Richards. And Dorit's a little bit late, and I don't wanna diagnose her, but I do feel like Dorit may have ADHD because I think she has a little bit of time blindness because she's late all the time. Who among us? Um, but I also think that when people are too obsessed with being on time for social events, it's like,
Get a
well,
life.
get a life. Like, shit happens, go with the flow. You don't, like, I get it. Like, sometimes you need to be on time for things, but otherwise, like, if it was that big of a problem, production would talk to Dorit about it. Like, it's not that big of a problem, obviously, like, she's at her job. They were probably like, show up whenever. It's her birthday. She's kind of the guest of honor. Also, she's driving from Encino to Santa Monica. That's not close, you know? I don't know. I just think I don't I think when people care too much about lateness, it's, like, annoying. And I'm very timely because I still have sports trauma, and I think I'm gonna have to run laps if I'm late. But I just don't like it. But Dorit and Rachel, they greet each other, and they start speaking, and Rachel's like, "By the way, I realized that part of Rachel Zoe's vernacular slang is using Spanglish," and she says, "Basta. Basta, it's done. Basta." And she did this again when they were shopping last episode, "Basta," which I love.
I do have to say Basta is actually one that I say all the
I
time.
say it too.
I also say "Ya basta," though. I say "Ya basta." I say "Ya basta," enough is enough. And my husband and I started saying this is so crazy. We started saying this when Dave Chappelle's Block Party came out in, like, 2006, because there was, like, this one scene where he's talking to these guys, and they're talking about, kinda revolutionary era of hip hop, right? And, like, having a voice and speaking out. And so it's like a very, the center of hip hop is very Black, but it's also like Black, Latino, and Asian, and like so this is like the center of this at this time, this conversation. So it's everybody, and so the people are like, yeah, basta. They like put their finger up with like the middle finger, and my husband and I are from the suburbs. We're used to hearing a lot of Spanish, but not like that. And like, we were like, "Oh, shit, we gotta put this one on." Like, this is a great new phrase for us because sometimes enough is enough. And then I started making a fake restaurant, and it's called Yabasta Pasta, and it's a food truck, and we could stop there.
Did I get pasta from you then? Because I don't say it often, but I also
I think we've said
when
it
when
before.
I mean enough, I go, "Ugh, enough pasta." Like, I do that too, like, when I'm being a little dramatic, but I've never actually heard another like, obviously, I heard someone do it around me, and that's how I got it.
We always say Yabasta, though. Like, we always say Yabasta,
I
like,
don't even say,
specifically
"Yeah,
that.
pasta." I just
Yeah,
go
we always
like,
say Yabasta.
"Ugh, pasta." I don't know where I got that from. It's and anyways, so hearing Rachel do it, it got her a like us point last week. Um, yeah, last week, but I was like, I love it. And
Can we
also
double down on that? Because it's like me and you say that, and we didn't really know that we both say that, but we both say it.
I know. That's
That's
so
funny.
funny.
Yeah.
It's funny how, like, you just, like, pick up things from people though, like, you just pick up lingo and other people's, like, little isms and
We're all just mosaics of one another and the people that we interact with.
yeah, ChatGPT would say the tapestry of your life.
I argued down for mosaic in a script recently, and it keeps coming back up, and then now they go, "Danny, is it mosaic?" And I'm like, "Yeah,
The mosaic.
mosaic."
Mosaics are chic. We did it with
I'm
paper
holding
though.
you up today. Get back on track early.
Okay, sorry. This is a long episode. Okay, so after that, we cut to Natalie talking to Erica, and Natalie, who is obviously wild, crazy, and free, she is talking about that she just got a massage, and the masseuse gave her a happy ending, and everyone at that side of the table, like, it's just this is such a typical girl dinner because there's like on one corner people talking about a divorce, and the center we don't even know what's going on there because it's probably boring, and then on the other side, it's people talking about like massages, happy endings. And Kathy Hilton goes, they're going to legalize those soon. And I'm like, she's probably not wrong though, because if we're legalizing gambling and everything else, like who knows? But like hilarious. Kathy Hilton, like, what does she know about happy endings being legalized soon?
That is the funniest thing. I somehow missed that entire part of the episode. That is so funny.
It's
That is
hilarious.
hilarious.
And then Bose and her confessional is like, a serial killer with a chainsaw could not have gotten that out of me. I would have taken that to my grave. And here Natalie is talking about it at this table. And Erica and her are high-fiving about it because I don't know if you remember, but like seasons ago, Erica talked about getting a happy ending and a massage. So her and Natalie are high-fiving and like it's a
Why
mess.
are they Oh my god.
No, I know. It's hilarious. And Natalie's like, well, the masseuse was super hot. So like what is
These things, I don't know anything about this, but, I had worked with someone that was like, "Yeah, when I was, like, 19 in Europe, it's just what you do," and I was like, "That's intense to me." Like,
it's
that is so
doing
intense.
too much. We're doing too much. And but nothing is better than Kathy Hilton saying they're gonna be legalized soon.
It's so funny. That's a funny woman.
She's hilarious. So then we cut to Dorit being like, okay, let me go say hi to the side of the table that looks like they're having a good time. So she goes down there, she gives Bose a hug. She says, hi, Amanda. And Dorit in this instance has like a couple of zingers in a row because she says hi to Amanda. Amanda doesn't want to talk to her. Amanda gets up and is like, I'm going to go to the bathroom. And Dorit's like, okay, whatever. And then in her confessional, she's like, what is she like manifesting my absence? Like, she can't even look at me. One, hilarious. Then two, they're like, well, Dorit, like, everyone's kind of telling Dorit that she wasn't that much in the wrong because they all were witnesses to what happened. And they were like, it wasn't that bad.
Yeah.
And they go, yeah, but like she's a little young. And then with another zinger, Dorit goes, well, she's not that young. She's like, I guess, yeah, she's young, but like she's a grown woman. And like, love that. Love that down. She said, yeah, you might be in your 30s still, but like you are grown and you're doing too much. And like It got me. I giggled. I'm like, I like when Dorit is activated. I like when she's fired up. It's just good. So then Amanda comes back and she's like, also Dorit with another good one. She's like, "Do you want to like go?" Because Dorit's like, "Hey, let's talk about this." And Amanda's like, "Do you want to go and talk on the side?" And Dorit's like, "We don't need to get up to talk." Which, like, I also love that. She was like, "No, what are you talking about? Like, we are on a show. We do these at dinners. Welcome to the Real Housewives. Like,
Right, like,
welcome to the show.
"Clock in."
Clock in." This is a conversation that happened with everyone, so we're gonna continue the conversation happening with everyone. You don't get to go have, like, a one-on-one when this whole thing started with everybody who's already at this table right now. Like, we're gonna continue with everyone here, so we all can chime in. You're not gonna get the benefit of being able to twist my words in a one-on-one. Everyone's gonna hear what I have to say, which I think is actually very smart and really a good strategy move on Dorit's part to be like, "No, no, no, we're not gonna go do this on the side. Everyone needs to hear what I say and how I say it," because having the other housewives as witnesses is actually a benefit in a lot of these types of arguments. So that's Dorit knowing the game. In the end, Amanda says, "Well, I just wanna know I can go to a dinner without being verbally accosted." And then instead of, like, standing 10 toes down on that, she goes, "Well, that's what it means, right?" And then she, like, pulls out her phone to start Googling what accosted means. And then and the episode ends where Bose shades Amanda and says, "Not us looking up the words to know what they mean." And that's the end of the episode. To be continued, to be continued.
Oh my god, that's so funny. That one took me out too. And then it went straight into Watch What Happens Live, of course. And then I laughed again at the 3 of the I don't know their last name, the women of the Paris Hiltons and Richards of such.
The Richard Hiltons.
The Richard Hiltons, and I just kept giggling, so that was a fun watch if you watch that back, just go ahead and let this episode of Watch What Happens Live play. I know we fight
It's
on it, but
it's
sometimes they're good.
It's probably my favorite episode of Watch What Happens Live I've ever seen. I cracked up so much. It was really funny. I mean, we're gonna get into the scorecard, but I feel like the thing about this Housewives episode is that it still kind of felt like we are setting the stage for drama to ensue, but the foundation is cracking, right? Like
Mhm.
if this was a story, I think we are at the end of act 1 now, right? Like, we are now getting into what is gonna be the downfall of everything and getting into act 2 and kind of the struggle. I don't know if we have a hero of the season yet. It feels like it's a little bit Rachel Zoe is kind of feeling like the hero of the season. Her storyline, what she's bringing is really interesting. Kyle's also doing a pretty good job of just making sure that conversation is flowing. I think the Friends of have been super fun. I love when we get Jennifer Tilly, Gentil, and Kathy. They didn't have a lot to do this episode, but anyways, there's not a lot of like us this episode for me. I would say it's probably one of the fewest we've had in an episode thus far, and I would only give Bose and Kyle each one like us, raising them both with 5 points on the board. So Bose for her talking about how she grew up and who her childhood best friend is, and Kyle for getting the Susie cakes. That's not a lot, you guys. There wasn't a lot going on. What about you, Danny? What do you think?
I was obsessed with in Rachel's scene where she filed for divorce, she was wearing, like, the daffodils, like, the original, like, Christian Louboutin daffodils. I have never been able to afford these, but I did have the Aldo version and the Jessica Simpson version. I would have to say my personal style probably naturally aligns with, like, the Rachel Zoe-ish
Mhm.
kind of space. So I've always kind of followed her and looked at what she's wearing, so I gotta give a point for that, I guess. That plus the Spanish, so can I give her 2? And then
Ooh, so then that would make Rachel the winner of the episode.
that would be my winner for this episode, but I also have one more point.
Okay.
I loved the bows saying, "Mauricio, it's nice to meet you," but also making it very clear that she is the girl's friend out of the 2 of them. That
Yeah,
is extremely from my playbook, even to the
yeah.
point that if the guy is my friend first, I will be like, "You need to ask her to marry you," and then I never talk to him about her again until he says he's going to marry them. I'm like, "You know what you need to do, get back with that girl."
I think that's right. I think that's right. I honestly, there's nothing better than, like, when you have a guy friend and you like their girlfriend and you're like, "So when are you proposing?"
Literally that. I
So
get
when are
so
you
excited. I work in a, like, a lot I've been working a lot in, like, male spaces, so you can become really close with a lot of men, and, like, when I meet their wives and girlfriends and stuff, I'm always like, "Thank God she's cool." Like, I love when, the cool guy at work is actually with, like, a cool girl that's not, like, all small and weird and, like, has confidence. Like, kinda this week in the story with Marcello, how Dax Shepard was like, "Oh, why aren't you trying to get with Sabrina Carpenter?" And he's like, "No, I got a girl. She's an architect, and
I
she's
know.
beautiful." And, like, I that's the kinda guy that I like when they're really into their wives and girlfriends. I think that's really cool.
Yeah, that's true. A wife guy.
Mhm.
Okay, so for you, you would give Rachel 2 points. I mean, this is what makes it fun to have, like, other people to chat with about this, right? Because, like, for me right now, Erika Jayne is at the top of the scoreboard and has been. So, with Kyle and Bose getting points, it moves Kyle to being tied for 2nd place, and she's tied with Gentil and Kathy, who are looped together as friends of. And they were quiet this episode, so, like, they didn't get any points. And Erika Jayne has 50, so she's, like, really far ahead of the friends of and Kyle, who now have 35. And then Bose is now tied for 3rd with Rachel and Dorit. So it's pretty competitive in the center of the pack. Amanda's in 4th and Sutton is in 5th. And I think actually this might be one of the first episodes that Amanda didn't get a point. She basically gets a point almost every episode, but this episode she didn't hit us with her manifestation positive vibes, So no
Yeah.
points.
On my board, I did actually think Amanda's house was done very well. I think that, um, Kyle's house, although it was a home that was their dream home, it was done very well. I would never have probably made changes to it myself. But Amanda clearly had the vision to do so, and I think it came out pretty well. I was expecting it to be a lot worse. It was very sterile. I would actually be willing to give Amanda a point for that, but we don't have to because she's got enough points, you know? We can be
She's
biased sometimes.
she's trucking along. She's ahead
Yeah,
of
she's
Sutton.
fine. She doesn't need our help.
Sutton hasn't really had her time to shine though. I think an episode will come and Sutton will have her moment. But if you want to play along, make sure to head to erinjw.com/keep score, and you can have your own scoreboard and your own point system and tag me. Take a screenshot. Let me know who your winner is. And make sure to follow, like, comment, tag, let us know when you listen at Like Us Pod, at Erin Jones-Wesley. And I want to make a really big shout out to Danielle for joining us today. Danielle, thanks for being here. Where can everyone find you?
Well, first off, you can find me at D is for Danny on Instagram. You can
Boom.
find me at D is for Danny on TikTok. And in a couple weeks, hopefully, I don't know when we're gonna do this, but you'll find me again back at the Like Us Pod on TikTok and all those spaces as well.
Big announcement, Like Us Pod, the new wave, next season, new things. It's coming.
It's coming. We're so excited about it. And we're going to be stepping away from the palace and we're going to be walking into some more content outside of that. So, of course, we're going to always have love for our girl Megan because we've really become fond of her over time. But we're going to take that love and we're going to spread it around the rest of Southern California and we're going to get into food, content, all those things.
Can't wait to chat about it and chat more. So stick around. We will keep continuing our bonus episodes of Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. Tune in next week and I will chat with you guys then. Thanks for listening.
Thank you.